I remember dial-up internet, man. Do you remember dial-up?
I remember when there was no internet and you played Oregon Trail on a disc that you put in the computer. That's what I remember.
I have enough. Welcome back. We are talking about Baby Week, and I have some news. This is kind of a difficult segment to always because there has to be news available, and I have to be able to get it. It has to be on topic. So I found one. So I'm going to read the article headline. I'm going to read the headline and then probably the first couple of sentences, and then we'll just have a conversation about this. It says, Arkansas toddler saved by Narcan after swallowing pill left out. What do you guys think about that? An overdose victim was a baby. I don't know anything about Narcan. Do you know anything about Narcan?
I don't.
Narcan is some kind of
what officers use that for is when someone's having an overdose, it clears their bloodstream. It makes it to where they're not. Man, I watched a lot of Live PD and they used it on every episode.
Oh, did they?
So when people are having an OD on the street, for example, they'll just come up and bam, Narcan, and they're calmed down and back to.
Is it a shot?
It is.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's kind of like an epinephrine pen.
Oh, yeah,
an
epinephrine. Gotcha.
Narcan.
Yeah, okay.
It goes on to say, it says the 2-year-old is Arkansas's youngest person saved after swallowing a pill left out by the mother. I knew on an adult it would have no negative effect, said Luna, an officer with 5 years experience on the Texarkana force in the city. He says the last thing I wanted to do was make the situation worse. So he's not even sure that this thing was going to work. But, I just thought it was an interesting article. I guess we could really go in the direction, not necessarily about the officer and what Narcan is, but the fact that a parent left a pill out where a child could...
A type of pill that would cause
I was going to say, what kind of pill was it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Obviously, it wasn't ibuprofen.
But let's just assume that it's the worst, right?
Okay.
And so, what do you guys think about? So when I think about that, there's probably a mother behind this that is going to live with a bunch of guilt. So actually, the situation could have been different, right? She could have had a lot more guilt if the officer wasn't able to respond, didn't do the Narcan, and the baby died, right? What do you guys think about a parent, somebody who's so in addiction? Our minds are cluttered and full of stuff, right? It's not that we don't love our kids, because this, I'm thinking back to when I was an addict or alcoholic in my addiction before I was a Christian 15 years ago. That could have just as easily been me, right? I could have just left some stuff out, Luckily, this wasn't meth or anything, but just thinking about we're just kind of oblivious to other people around us, and we're in our own world, and then we leave out some drugs and our kids take it and die. That's got to add a whole nother layer of guilt to somebody who's already, living an addictive lifestyle, already trying to cover up pain with drugs, to just have something like that happen.
Yeah.
What would you, Jeremy, as a pastor, how would you pastor somebody who had a situation like that? And I'm
first
putting
of
you
all,
on the spot.
yeah,
because this is good for people to hear this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So actually, we have to put this in context of just normal life and the life that we live in, because kids getting into things and pilling out. Now, we don't know how the pill was left out. We don't know, but there's kids every day that have to get their stomachs pumped because they drink toilet cleaner. I mean,
that's
there's
right.
things that happen. And
absolutely.
So we have to understand that we have to put this in context. We can't just automatically jump on the bandwagon to start ridiculing this mother.
Yeah.
We have to understand that kids are curious. They get into things. As protective as we are, and as we want to put all the locks on the drawers and do all of the I was the dad that put the little plastic covers on all the outlets and everything. But honestly, kids are going to get into stuff.
Yeah, they are.
And so as careful as we are, obviously we don't want our kids getting into stuff, but kids are curious, and so they get into that. As far as dealing with a person that is if it wasn't actually like a narcotic type pill that that had the potential, obviously it had the potential of killing the baby. You know, we deal with the aspect of the addict, but it's not just the pill, it's the whole lifestyle.
Yes.
That the mother is in. It goes deeper than just, hey, she left out a pill. It goes in like, hey, there's some problems going on in the family or in the household that are creating a dangerous environment for the child. So I don't see that any different than a child that's in a home where there's spousal abuse.
Totally.
I don't see that any different as in a home where, well, I'm going to get real here, a home where the parents are there, but they're not there because they're either always on their phones or disconnected from their kids in another way. That's actually as damaging and actually has farther reaching effects than even like sexual abuse. And people don't understand that abandonment as a form of childhood trauma has the farthest reaching effects of any other form of abuse that a kid can go through. And so we think the violent crimes, we think all these horrific things that happen to kids are the things that damage them for life. And it's actually not. It's actually the sustained, long disconnectedness of family or nurturing or love or care that actually does the farthest reaching damages to a child's life.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I just bring it back to kids are kids, and the mother that had a pill laying out is no different than a mother who left cleaning solution out. I mean, it's just we're humans, we make mistakes, and you know, I would care more about the home environment.
I think that's the key. And that's why we put these articles out. I think Zach and I haven't really spent a whole lot of time actually just analyzing specifically the articles, but usually having an article in the news, it's something that's relevant, something that's like kind of right there and new. And then we can have a really cool conversation. And I love that you brought up it's larger than that. It's like the whole environment. And so I'm going to make a confession on here because this brings me back, dude. I had, when Allie and Peyton, they're my two oldest daughters, I had them for a parenting weekend or week or something, and they were like 2 and 3, like very little. And I had an apartment, and I had, you know, the night before I put them to bed, and then I drank a ton, and then I like woke up, you know, late with the hangover, but I woke up off the couch to them in the kitchen with everything that was underneath the sink. Everything was dumped out, everything. And I like hopped up, and I was like, my heart was beating, and I was so thankful that my kids are like sitting there playing in it and they're alive, right? And then I like got super mad, but I was mad at me, and I like tried to cover that up forever. Like I'm like, nobody knew about it. And so I'm like, that happened, dude. But it's a result of the lifestyle. And so now I think people in recovery will have moments like that. Like that could have been a catalyst for me in recovery, but it's not, because the adage goes in at least AA is that it's cunning, baffling, and powerful is what they'll say. I think we're beyond that. I think we know a lot more about alcohol now to just dumb it down to cunning, baffling, and powerful. But there's still a truth to that, because to the active alcoholic, the person who's not in recovery, it is something they don't understand and they can't stop doing it. And so that's just what I wanted to share on that. I mean, that is like, and it's mind blowing, because if everybody knew that about me, even then they'd be like, why don't you just get your stuff together, right? And just to your point, you don't understand, man. I mean, if that's not going to change me, you know, it has to be a higher power or something.
Yeah. And that goes right into the topic of like, I love that Jeremy brought up the home environment, because of course the news is going to in a way twist it to point fingers at someone. And thank God for the officer, you know, and yes, thank God for the officer, but like, you know, there's all these finger pointing, it seems, you know, usually with media, that's how it is. But like, I remember a few years ago, there was a lady that accidentally left her kid in the car here in our town, and the kid, I don't think the kid made it.
No, she passed away.
She passed away. And the thing I remember the most about that, and this is the awful part, is how awful everyone treated the mom. And like, they're actually going to put her in jail. Or did they put her in jail?
Well, it went to trial, and they ended up. I mean, this mother was heartbroken, and so she had ended up. I don't remember if she had to actually do jail time, but she was convicted of child neglect or child endangerment. But go ahead and finish.
Yeah, it's just like it was an innocent thing. Like she didn't do it on purpose. She's like, I'm gonna lock my kid in the car. Or it's like I'm not gonna leave a pill out for my kid. That's. I mean, maybe she was just like we were saying. Maybe she was. In the middle of using as well, but we don't know the pill exactly.
No,
either.
she actually was a nurse.
She was.
She was actually a nurse in a local doctor's office. And I actually, if you don't mind, I actually wanted to talk about this after you shared, because let's come back to what's happening in society. Because I'm the pastor that's not going to put a level of hierarchy of addiction with an absentee parent. I'm not going to do it because it has the same result. And so, we're living in the information age. We're busier than we ever have been. We're more fragmented in our thinking than we ever have been. We're more connected to our phones than we are. And this is not, I understand phones are a good tool and it's doing a lot of good stuff. The internet is an amazing tool. It's doing a lot of good stuff, but it's also creating an environment where people are losing their ability to be focused. They're losing their ability to be relational. They're losing their ability to even have sanity, because we're connected to such a digital world that, this is, I feel this sometimes where you even go to say something and it's like I can't even pull it out of me because my brain is firing on so many levels that I feel like I'm going crazy. Or I get up to go get something and I forget what it was that I was going to get. These are things that happen. Yeah, no, it's everybody. And it's happening more and more the more disconnected we become with reality because of what's going on in the digital world. And so we have to understand and be on guard that this is happening relationally. This is not just affecting parents and kids. Let's take it. This is affecting marriages. This is affecting people's work ethic and jobs and business. It's having an effect on every aspect of especially our society, in how we are so fragmented, that these things are happening.
Yeah, I'm at that place where I got electronics early enough in school. Like, you guys remember Zach won't remember it, right? But you remember the Oregon Trail? Like in Frogger and stuff like that. Okay. And then in high school is really when high school was like in 1998. So having access to Windows 10 now, I can't remember but there was an equivalent, right, to that.
98 or something.
98. Yeah. So I remember dial-up internet, man. Do you remember dial-up?
I remember when there was no internet and you played Oregon Trail on a disc that you put in the computer. That's what I remember.
I have enough that I'm able to operate computers, and I'm not probably as savvy as someone like Zach because he was like born into the stuff. But now my kids right now, dude, my kids are like blowing me out of the water on like games and stuff, and like especially Melody. And I'm kind of concerned, and I'm not. I have to steward my children in this digital era, right? But it is kind of cool to see them interact. I try to at least. I'm probably sure I'm guilty to some degree on all the electronic stuff, but I also try to engage with them in that digital world with them. So there's like these online games that we can play together. So we'll be in the living room playing in a game together online as a whole family, and everybody has their own device. So all 5 of us like have played games and stuff, and it's kind of fun. But yes, we're starting to go down a road that I don't see there's any. We're going down this road, right? Mm-hmm. There's no moving away.
We're there. Yeah,
we're there. And so it's to the point where you can't. You really have to become like Amish to avoid this thing, and I don't think that God's
the way Hannah and I do it, having a 2-year-old that loves watching VeggieTales and loves playing on our phones and playing video games if she gets a chance to on our phones or something. It's just we set boundaries, and it has to start at a really young age. Boundaries, so Eleanor has a limit of 2 shows a day. Whenever she wants to watch them, that's all she gets. She doesn't actually get to play on her phones. It's just like, let's say we're in the middle of a big message or something here at church, and we forgot her toys. It'd be like, okay, you can play this little game on our phone. But otherwise, we try to have everything be physical for her. And starting growing up that way, because I know so many parents where it's like, guess who's the babysitter? The TV is,
Yeah.
and that's where the big, huge first disconnection comes, of thinking that, well, the TV has to be on all the time, or there has to be a device on all the time everywhere. We can't just sit together as a family. And there's nothing against playing a game on the phone. There's nothing against watching TV. It's not bad stuff. It's not going to hurt anybody unless, you're actually watching something awful. But, but it's like, we got to be able to be responsible, because we've switched it from being a tool to people are just dependent on it for everything. Yeah. And it's so accessible. It's not like a board game. It's with you all the time, and it's so easy just to pull it up. A board game or a card game, you have to set it up, and there's intentionality to it, like a tangible intentionality. But with it's really easy for people to get sucked into, obviously people have forever now, video games and stuff like that, because it's so accessible. And there's so many different types. And it's just, and they're not bad, but it's that becomes our coping mechanism. Now we're dealing with a whole new generation of people.
Everything in moderation.
Yeah, that's what I did. I went to college, went to work, and then coached tennis professionally, and then played video games for 8 hours at night and worked off 3 hours of sleep. And because the video game was my outlet, and that's the only way I had connection to my friends, because they were on video games. And so in trying to juggle that, life's just a mess. Obviously there's more to it than just the video games, but it's like, I had to do it. Like that was like my,
And in your defense and in my defense, they don't design these games for you to be able to just play once a week, dude.
No.
They design them to get you to have to play this thing for like 8 hours a day to be anything in the game. So you either have to like I don't know, but they purposefully design these things to consume you. So unfortunately, that's just kind of the way it is. Thank you for checking out this clip from the Position Recovery Podcast. The entire podcast is available on our other channel. There's a link in the description box below, so you can go check it out. The full audio program is available on your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify, Pandora, and Google Podcasts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Finally, if you'd like access to exclusive members-only content, or maybe you just want to support us in what we're doing financially, head on over to patreon.com/position, where there are a variety of giving levels and one that is perfect for your budget. It's always awesome hanging out with you guys. And remember, many are called, but you are positioned.